Course, we are back. Took a little break last week as we were going to Vibes Music Festival. This is Get Resource live with Summer and Andre, where we talk about everything around getting you resource to yourself, source, and others. And that's all in regards to how we relate to ourselves, to other people around us, and to our higher power. And we always open up the space with our question, what's alive in you? What is alive in you, Summer?
Well, and I would encourage everyone else who's on, tell us your name, what's alive in you this morning or afternoon, wherever you may be today. What's alive in me? Hmm. A little bit of a sense of self doubt, actually. A little bit of self doubt, a little nervousness, a little bit self judgment. That's what's alive in me at the present moment. What about for you this morning, Mr.
Thanks
Dre?
for sharing. Um, what's alive in me is focus, energized, and eagerness. Yeah, eagerness to uh, get a few things done today
Oh,
that I wanted to get done. Yeah, yeah. So feeling eager at the moment. Mm,
okay.
That's where I'm at.
Ooh, so eager. What are we going to
Yeah,
talk today? Continue from last week, right?
yeah. We're continuing. The context of this month is chaos, and when we think of chaos, we think of chaos all around us, right? And a lot of that chaos is a reflection of the chaos that's happening within myself, within us. And so we like to, continue the conversation of how to navigate that chaos within ourselves. The two paradigms I find that the pendulum switches to is one is when I'm so stoic and I don't want to deal with that chaos, so I suppress it. I wear a mask and I power through. I power through, right? Push through. Nothing phases me. I just kind of become a robot and I live in my head, you know? And the other side of the coin is allowing all these parts of me, these emotions and these sensations to run my life. And then I become kind of a train wreck. I bring the chaos with me. I drain the energy out of spaces. People want to run away from me, right? I become emotionally volatile. And what we're talking about here is providing some guidance, some wisdom from our own shared experiences of what it is like to be the eye in the storm.
Right, from chaos to peace. I wonder if a lot of people would identify chaos as something in their lives. Maybe they feel unbalanced, maybe they feel tired, maybe they have degenerative disease, but maybe they wouldn't necessarily call it chaos. Maybe inner confusion, maybe discombobulated, disconnected. So, want to reframe maybe what we're labeling as chaos, because I think a lot of people think, oh, just mayhem everywhere. But a lot of people, even though they may feel chaotic inside, it looks like they got their life together. It looks pretty good from the outside. Um, and so, what would you define this month as? What are we talking about when we're talking about chaos, really?
Yeah, we're talking about resilience and that, being calm despite the chaos that's happening within, without is a byproduct of resilience. And that resilience is actually not something that's developed on my own. Because as a man, culturally, we hear the words man up, right? Stop being weak, power through it, be strong. And I judge most men are lone wolves. They isolate when there's issues or if there's some ailment, right? I wait till it gets worse before seeing the doctor or going to the hospital. And so
Mm-hmm.
the truth of the matter, fact is, oh, just so you know, Summer, babe, if you move around, the mic is catching up the noise from the mic somehow.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Good to know.
Yeah. So the truth of the matter, a fact is that we are human and that we're wired to connect with other humans. It's in our design to attach, to co-regulate, to connect. And so resiliency is actually built through being with others. And when we talk about chaos this month, it's about working with the chaos with others that are also working with the chaos. Because I know for me, when I feel safe, somehow the chaos just disappears for me. I feel secure. I feel supported. It's like the universe has my back, you know?
Mm. What about those people who are like, are you kidding me? I don't want to hang out with others and tell people that my family's crazy, or I get so stressed out in certain environments, right? So, how do you know you're in a safe place?
Hmm. Yeah, great question. Well, immediately with my family, like I can tell myself not telling my truth. Like I'm not sharing my full truth range for fear of, being criticized. Or when I'm around my mom, I can tell that, I'm breathing heavy. I'm feeling anxious around her, and that's some physical telltale signs, right? The emotional side is feeling anxious, agitated, annoyed. I remember driving with a buddy, and this buddy was someone that I never felt like I was heard. Every time I would share something, it seemed like I was getting advice, and I didn't want that. And at the time, I didn't know how to say no to that. And then he would start talking, so I didn't feel safe to share. So every time I would ride with him in the car, I could tell that I was breathing heavy. It's like my nervous system was like in this dysregulated state, like tight, contracted feeling. So right away, I just didn't feel safe around this person, right? Now, when I can tell when I'm safe with others is that I'm open, I'm light, like physiology wise, right? So I always go back to the cues and signs of my body. That's
Right, but
one
here's
way.
the question, right? Because a lot of times we choose partners that remind us of our parents, for example. So if I go into any atmosphere, am I really getting the signals from that person, or is it maybe a story I'm telling in my head that says it's not safe? Like, how do I know the difference? Because I'm aware with some of our students, they're like, you know what? If I'm not vulnerable in a situation, if I'm trying to hide parts of myself for whatever reason I have to believe that I need to hide those parts, it sets up the stage for feeling unsafe because others don't know what we're hiding and the subtle nuances of putting on a mask, being a certain way. So I'm going to challenge you on that a little bit because even if I go into places where people may be unconscious, your friend driving, if I'm secure in myself, I can sit there and accept, you know, what's going on. Um, and so what's the difference between the primary emotion that makes us feel uncomfortable in our body and the same experience that we might be having, right? Because when we get triggered, it's often a mirror of something we remember in our past that we think the trigger is actually the person that's in front of us. And so, how can we tell the difference between what's mirroring something that's in the past that's in our body that's uncomfortable and what's actually happening in the present moment?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, and I think we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Um, I judge that to be an advanced concept because
Mm.
first I need to determine if my media environment is safe. And even if it's a story that I'm telling myself and I don't feel safe within myself, I'm still not safe. So the key part is to be in an environment where there's a willingness to allow me to open up the door, to allow me to be vulnerable and then watch if I'm going to get rejected. Am I going to get unsolicited advice? So trust is one marble at a time. So when you ask me the question of like, how can I tell if it's safe or not? Well, I'm using my example with my friend, with my mom. I can tell with my physiology. Now I can take the risk of perhaps naming it and opening up, right? But what if I do and my friend laughs at me? My mom makes it about her and I shut down again. So the key part is to be in an environment where, yeah, if I just meet these people for the first time, let's say at a retreat, right? We're doing a check in circle, sharing who we are. I'm feeling anxious, nervous. Those feelings are present. I don't know these people, but I can take the risk knowing consciously, is this a container where I can start working out that muscle, starting to get to know myself to then answer your question of discerning what's mine and what's not. Though I just need a safe space because back in the day, when I was just in my head, locked away, I went to a personal development seminar where they created and set up an environment, creating the right conditions to allow people to share vulnerably. So I sat in a circle. I wasn't the first person that went. I'm not used to this. I would watch other people. I saw this guy stand up and share. I'm like, whoa, that's really deep. And I looked around and observed how people were responding. They weren't criticizing him, they weren't laughing at him. My old bar friends would laugh at me, which meant I'm not going to share that stuff. But I looked around the environment like, wait a minute, this I think this is safe. So by modeling, watching others in this environment, it created a sense of safety to allow me to then open up and share. It is not only when I open up and share an experience for myself, then I can determine and distinguish what is mine and what's not. It's really difficult to get there if I haven't experienced the process of opening up and allowing myself to be seen, right? Truth sets me free. Though if I'm holding back truth, then how can I really get there?
Hmm. Exactly. I love how you went to describing how modeling works. And so, how do you get into an environment where you can test it? And really, it does come down to being in an environment with others, with your tribe, with your community, with testing out and observing others, being mentoring, actually embodying information by observing. Because we have in our culture, I think, mentors that show us the opposite, why we hide, why we try to build up to some cultural expectation of being the top on the corporate ladder and separating our personal life and our personal chaos from our professional life. And the only way we're going to be able to get to more peace and calm in our world is by modeling it for each other.
And you kind of speak to the two-stage culture that we're in right now, which is from the Industrial Revolution and based on consumerism, where the first stage is I'm preparing. I'm a youth. I'm going to school to get a degree, to get classifications so I can be prepared to work. Stage two, as an adult, I'm here to produce, I'm here to consume. I got bills to pay, I got to raise a family, and I got to climb the corporate ladder, gain success, gain more money. And then retirement, which means I'm just out the system, right? I'm casted out. I'm no longer deemed useful versus a three-stage culture, which is traditional indigenous cultures that says youth is all about exploring, experiencing. Two, adulthood, bringing that experience in and providing and producing for the community. And three, elderhood, moving away from doing to being and then mentoring, right? The youth, bringing that knowledge back in. And so there's a cycle. Um, and where I'm going with this is that like the three-stage culture allows the transmutation of like the mental, emotional, spiritual patterns to be witnessed, to be seen in community. It allows um, the soul blueprint, I call the soul work, to emerge because of the wisdom of the elders that get passed down, right? In a
Yes.
two-stage culture, that is missing, right? It just stops, and there's nothing that gets reverberated back. We're just in this kind of holding pattern of the hamster wheel, wondering how come I'm not happy. I'm working so much, and I'm taking on more things, and of course, our individual society as well. That everybody's kind of like their own village, right? Instead of the greater village being held by the greater village. And this goes back to what's safe container. If I don't have that within my friend environment or my family environment, I think there's a good chance that I don't want to risk it because it could throw me a couple steps back. You know what I'm saying? Like if I went to a personal development seminar and I'm like, hey, I'm so excited, and I go and share with my mom or dad, and they may not have the capacity to hold that, that could create some trauma for me. That could
Right.
create a bad experience for me. And so rather, where do I go? Well, why not connect with the people that were at the seminar? We're
Of
speaking the
course.
same language. We have the same interests, and let's practice.
Yeah, practice. I'm quite excited about the second stage, third stage culture because I believe the third stage is coming back. I like to say, why retire when we can re inspire?
Mm,
I think there's a lot of wisdom that is starting to emerge from what I'm seeing from women's groups where they realize they have a lot of wisdom. And the youth are seeking out something more meaningful than then just education and being productive. There's a lot of anxiety that's coming from what they're witnessing in the world that they don't want to be a part of. And so they're looking for mentorship. They're looking for those people who can show them the way of being safe to be able to discover, like you said, that second stage of how do I contribute in the world? How do I do that in a way that's in alignment with me without being a slave, without being a worker, without being this time stamp? How do I be true to myself? How do I discover what you might call a right livelihood? Something that's not a busyness, but something that keeps you alive, that allows you to contribute to others in really meaningful ways that don't lead you to burnout and adrenal fatigue and collapse as soon as you're done work. So I'm kind of really excited at looking to refurbishing our modern society back more into a third stage culture where we have that mentorship, where we're held in a larger container over time to create inner peace of where we're going instead of, oh, well, I have to accumulate all of these things and I have to achieve some high standard on the corporate ladder. And then, oh, I retire. And then what?
yeah.
Talk about conflict and chaos in oneself after that. The number of people who get depressed and just don't know what to do with themselves. It's
Mm.
sad when they could be offering so much wisdom to the lost and anxious youth of today. It's like why I'm so excited that some of our friends here in Edmonton have some gatherings and the youth are sharing with the adults, and there's multi generational people coming together to share their real experience, to be vulnerable in that experience and realize it's safe so we can start living out and seeing the patterns that humanity as is created today that isn't
Yeah.
life-giving. We can only do that when we share, when we
Yeah.
don't feel it's life-giving. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm supposed to say, hey, Naomi, welcome.
Yay.
Hey, Nate, welcome. And speaking to that, like, there's got to be a willingness, and with any relationship, there will be a rupture, there will be a disconnect. There will be misinterpretations and judgments. Live with me long enough. There's going to be something I do that will annoy you, right? That will irritate you. And where I'm going with this is there a willingness for us to repair, right? Is there a space where we can get back into, let's say, my true self, my aligned self, and be like, hey, I see what I can own in this. Let's say we were having a conflict, right? And in the moment, it's like I just want to hit the eject button. I want to peace out, right? Now, in an unsafe environment, it's like my words are like emotional obnoxious. Is like that person won't change. It's their fault. I'm not going to go back. Because to me, it's like perhaps I'm projecting onto that, but I just don't feel safe with this person. But what if I was in an environment, in a container, where we are both having the same vision here, the same language, and the same willingness? But let's say we do get into a conflict and I want to hit eject. Am I willing to know that this person is willing to work with me on this conflict? And why that is so powerful is that I get to heal generations with this work. I get to heal if I'm projecting my mom on him or her, my dad on him or her, all these my boss onto this person. I get to repair that, right? But it's a choice because I can easily hit eject because now you're truly seeing a part of me that I don't want you to see. But what's going to happen is I'm going to repeat that with someone else, with another group, whether consciously or unconsciously. So that's the key piece is being in a space where, okay, let's do this. Let's even preface it. Hey, we might get into disconnects and conflicts here. But I'm willing to meet you here and share that with you and work with you on this. And this is why. Are you willing to do that with me too? And then we can remind ourselves when we're all in saboteur mode, wanting to kill each other, right? And hit a jack. We got to remember, wait a minute. Right. I'm talking to someone that is willing and wants to do this repair. So I'm going to be patient and I'm going to wait and I'm going to send an invite, a request for us to work through that. And you know what? You know what's so beautiful, babe? Is that I just start to get to know you more. I
Mhm.
truly haven't known you. Even if I've known you for 5, 10 years or we're high school friends, do I really, really know you? No, I don't. I can never get to a place where I completely know you because there's so much layers. There's no such thing as the finish line or completion. Because as I go and unlearn myself my own journey, I am surprised myself. I'm like, that's who I am? That's who I am? I even say like 10 years ago, I thought I was authentic. I was authentic based on who I was with the awareness I had at the time, but I'm ever evolving. And what I can say is that the more I unearth myself, unlearn myself, what's true is there's more sense of peace. There's more sense of lightness. There's more compassion. There's more grace. And there's more love, like genuine love and gratitude.
Yeah. I'm curious. We've got some comments coming in. I see Claire and Chris and Giselle, and there's a couple of long. This is a beautiful and important to speak about my work. Also, LinkedIn user. I don't know who that is. And Naomi had a good her inner chaos explanation there. I'm curious if you can pop it up.
Oh, yeah, sure. And yes, I see your comment there, Chris. I guess the restream doesn't show it from my page for some reason, but um, the one that you said, "Hey there, think you can't see me?" comments on Audra's live. Go with that platform. We can see that comment. So here's Naomi's comment.
Right. I
This is
can't remember.
regarding, yeah, this is regarding the definition of chaos. For her, is it's not extreme, but often, or how do you notice it, right? I often am mildly unsettled every time I'm confronted by a situation I haven't navigated before. The first response is fear, freeze, a want to avoid, an unsettledness that I don't like. Chaos is a strong word, but, and it's kind of cut off here, but unsettled in quotation happens often.
Right.
Unsettled. Yeah,
Right.
something's been
So
shook.
that's mm-hmm. And I like what you said, Dre. How do we get to that place where we can start evolving? Oh, I'm unsettled, and we can just be in the unsettledness without some expectation that there's some finish line, some definitive thing that we have to be, as if we can be fixed to a certain standard. And this is where I think the whole rat race when we're achieving to become CEO of something or other, there's this misnomer in our life that there's something we're reaching for that's a final line versus this process and this evolution that we're continually in ourselves and each other. And we put these unrealistic expectations on people to be a certain way versus allowing ourselves to be in the moment to acknowledge what's true. And this is where we need the mentors to be vulnerable, to be present with what Eckhart Tolle says is the power of now, that we start to be in tune with all of the emotions, all of the chaos or the unsettlement, which allows us to realize A, we're not alone, and B, we don't actually have to do anything with it. We can just be without having to fix, without having to jump in, without having to do that for ourselves or others. And then answers come freely. Like you were just saying a few minutes ago, images pop up. And then we're responding rather than reacting, we're responding to the world from a sense of inner alignment, from truth, and from a sense of peace that tells me actually I'm not broken and I'm okay and I'm allowed to observe as life unfolds through me. And this is what's so exciting, is to finding those people that we feel safe with, Maybe it's not our colleagues, not our friends, but like you said, PSI seminars was one for you a few years ago, our classes, other places where it's not about, mm, what I say, a masculine goal to be a specific way, because that's reaching on the outside for stability, something outside. And the all outside goalposts are always moving. It's like, oh, maybe I need to be a nurse or a CEO or a lawyer. Oh no, that's not good anymore. Be an AI specialist or a technology specialist or whatever. Those goalposts are ever moving. But when we can tap into ourselves, to our own evolution, to source, we have an inner stability in our own truth that allows us to meet every challenge with the faith that we can evolve. And then we're not easily triggered. We can sit with other people. We can manifest things. We can go through illness or challenge without believing we're broken.
Yeah, that's a big piece. Um, for me, the remedy to chaos is acceptance. Accepting all of this, what's happening. It's when I become uncomfortable, unsettled, and I want to fix it. I want to make it go away. I want to stuff it. That's when problems arise for me. This culture that we're in is addicted to completion, addicted to checking things off. And I'm here to say there's no such thing as completion. No such thing. As you close your tabs, you're going to open up more new tabs. You see it every day, right? I'm great at creating work out of thin air. There's no such thing out of completion. It's more about the journey. And can I be with
Mm-hmm.
myself in what I call the practice of being torn, like the conflicting parts of myself? Because I know that if I'm so unsettled that I want to get rid of it, then what's going to happen is that part of me that is most alive will take over the bus and start driving. For example, the part of me is like, okay, I gotta get all this stuff done now. My restless takes over, and I'm kind of possessed by the restless to get stuff done, right? Without caring for another part of me that wants to rest and relax. So I'm not even taking care of that need, but can I just be with it? And there's this addiction to the mind of like, what to do, what to do, what to do. It's ongoing and trying to fix and solve this problem. But what if I can just be with this conflict right now without needing to do anything? Just
That's a hard one, I think, for a lot of people to swallow.
wow. Now, if I can acknowledge that of all these parts of me, you know what happens? I become the eye in the storm. I'm like, ah, I see you. Thank you. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for letting me know that I need competency right now. I need effectiveness. Thank you for telling me that I need rest right now. Thank you. And the system starts settling down. And like you said, the strategy, the insight of what to do just naturally comes without effort.
Well, I totally agree with you. And at the same time, I think none of us are that well versed because we haven't been taught how to navigate conflict, not to see it as something that we can learn from, whether it's me with you or me within myself, my childhood self, and my adult self, or my restless self, and I need rest self. Um, I want to propose the idea that conflict is usually within two things. Usually, the liberals and the different types of political parties, or mom and dad, or me and my other self, but there's usually two parts. When we can sit with two parts, there's something that happens naturally, and it kind of goes with Egyptian alchemy and the laws of numbers, is that this third solution comes up that we haven't thought of before. If we're thinking it has to be one or the other, and we have the restless dominate our lives because that's what our current culture is, we don't get the opportunity to creative solutions come by sitting in the liminal space between the two. And they're options better than what we can think of. Because creative solutions and our evolution does not come from doing what we already know. We have to be uncomfortable in that creative space that creates the third thing, which is the relationship between being restless and needing rest. There's some kind of balance that the universe is presenting to us if we are willing to sit in stillness long enough to discover it. And this is where the Industrial Revolution and the information age has taken away those slow ways of knowing to getting insight and making that seem like less important than, okay, well, we've got economies of scale here. We've got to produce, get going. And we've really lost that contemplation that allows us to create new solutions, new ways of being. And I think in that way, we're a little bit behind our own evolution. And it's like we're trying to catch up because what we know to be true in our bodies, in our hearts about who we are as spiritual beings, doesn't really match, A, with how we're living, the systems that keep us separated, and also the the economic system that keeps us separated, but also the idea that there's only one answer for everything. This is why we're always in conflict. I'm right, you're wrong. Okay, maybe there's a third solution here that we can just sit in, like Einstein did, like all of these great thinkers did, to find a new way and just allow it to percolate.
It requires the space, right? To create the space for that to be birthed. Hey, Chris, thanks for your comment. Acknowledging that you're in chaos now, self-soothing, and reminding yourself that you're exactly where you're meant to be. Yeah, like Tarzan swinging through the jungle, letting go one vine, and yeah, that process. Yeah, more than ever in our do culture, right? More than ever, it's this realization for me is like, hmm, I was kind of working to live, like climbing the ladder. I didn't really enjoy my career, so I was working for the weekend. And then I told myself that if I found my why, my purpose, then I would live to work. And I've discovered it. And I'm so passionate about it. I love what I do now. It is my purpose, and I can live to work. Ever since I started tracking my well-being, tracking where I put my energy and my time, I'm starting to realize I'm letting work take over my life. Even though I love it so much, there's a price that pays to the intimacy that we experience, to the play that we get to experience. Yeah. And so now I'm bouncing back to work to live, not live to work. And now I'm looking at it from a different lens and a different consciousness of that. I'm working to live in a way where I get to live the life that I want to live. And that might involve doing the work that I'm here meant to be doing, or that could be traveling, that could be playing, that could be getting new experiences, that could be being with myself. And so I see how I just kind of swung back and forth, but coming to a new paradigm of, yeah, I do want to work to live. And so what happens is in the morning, we get up 6, 7 a.m., we go to the gym. I'm not first right into my emails or texts. I'm not right away into the work of things. I'm like taking care of myself, working out, going to the pool, relaxing, and just realizing how grateful I am to be able to do this at the start of my day. right? To put myself in that state of, yeah, I am living. It's not just work. I am living here. I'm enjoying my life here. And then when I get back from the gym, let's do some work from that place of being full and alive because I've lived, right? So it's interesting.
Hmm. Interesting, because I haven't heard you frame it that way before. Because part of me goes, you know what? Um, why does my personal life or who I am have to be separate from my work? And I think you just enunciated a really interesting paradigm, and that is okay, let's go from being busy, busy, busy and overworking from a place where we're working for someone else versus, okay, now I'm working for myself and I'm passionate about what I'm doing, but I'm still working. Versus, how do I see my life as this holistic picture and stay in alignment? Because I know if I work too much, I can't get creative ideas and then my work suffers. And so, how do we go, all right, I'm here for a purpose. I have something to contribute. And how do I let my body tell me how much time I spend, how much rest I need, how much play I need, and trust that to take it into the work? Which I don't even like calling it work. I want it something else. If I'm living in a livelihood, I'm lively. I do the things that I need for my own well-being that connect me to source. It doesn't mean I'm working. It means I'm aligned. It means I'm carrying out my purpose, which isn't separate from my own self-care, from my own recharging of myself to do that work. And when I'm continually in that state of recharging myself, of getting the downloads and the insights and the excitement and the connection, then it doesn't even feel like work and it's not separate. It's this fluid relationship between who I am and how I'm contributing to the whole. And that's, where I'm going. I'm not in how I want to work it, how I want to live here. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. It sounds so juicy. Yeah. Uh, to like check in with myself. It's not like the compartmentalize of I work these 8 hours and I'm resting these 8 hours. It's blended. Like there's no like it's everything because I'm always checking in with myself moment to my moment where I'm focused, I'm doing work, but then also I'm like, wait a minute, I think it's time for a break. And I pause it and I take care of myself. I do what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go back. Okay, let's go back. So it's just being and aware and tending to my needs moment by moment,
Hmm.
revealing my truth moment by moment. And now what happens is I'm dancing. I'm flowing with life, right? I'm living it and it brings more presence to myself. And again, it's yeah, for me how it works is just checking in with myself now where I can work all day or I can do nothing all day, but I'm blending it all together, right? Yeah. Um I want to check on some comments here. Giselle, in conflict, we've been taught there has to be a winner and loser. Imagine where we can be all winners. Winner doesn't seem like the word, but be at peace. Yeah, yeah. Like Marshall says, how can we make each other's life more wonderful? The idea of power with, yeah. Claire, I'm ready to find my purpose. I am working to live right now. 3 part-time jobs is not what I want to be doing. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Hmm. And how do we do that? I love that question. Do you want to read that one first?
Yeah. This is from Chris. Yes, becoming self centered, as in centered in myself, versus self centered with a small s, my ego self. Put my own spirit, my heart, body, creator first so that I'm connected before I enter into community. Yeah. Tending to the system, tending, tending to myself. It's like this grace and compassion that comes with when I create space to be with myself, all of it. And when I kind of practice of just like, not having to do anything, fix anything. Just like, huh, there's a sense of peace because what happens is it creates this separation. I'm blending from that part. You know, it's a way to get myself back into my line self. Yeah. So you had a question,
Yeah.
there, babe, about how to
Well,
how to get
yeah, I
through.
was excited about, yeah. Claire, okay, I'm ready. I want to find my purpose. And I notice you're saying, okay, how do we dive into ourselves? And it's not necessarily alone. Often we find our own purpose, what we are going to contribute, who our true passion is. Like the Aboriginals, they name their child when they're born based on, well, they have a lot of different ways that they navigate their spiritual essence when they're born, the astrology, the whatever. Here, we're going into human design these days. But how do we know that unless we're reflected back from others? Oh, wow, this has really moved me. This about your skill and the way you said this affects me this way. How do we know that something is really juicy and that we contribute and we have value unless someone else reflects back what that is? It's really hard. We can sit in the mirror and go, hey, I love you. But I think without the mirrors that we have now, our old mirrors were other people that reflect back less of what our external looks like and more about who we are on the inside. We don't have to go guesswork and go to some counselor that says, oh, here's the different jobs that are available. We are now in alignment with our own evolution that creates the services that support the people that mirror back to us how important they are to us. And I think this is a paradigm shift that we're creating in the Relational Wisdom School, in the Soul Truth Discovery and Empowered Empath Academies, of how we discover our right livelihood. How do we stay in tune with ourselves when we're not in tune with anybody else? An island without understanding the ocean that it's in. It makes no sense. There's this false sense of division and separation or cognitive dissonance, or there's another word I'm looking for, dissociation from these parts of ourselves that can only really be found when we're in relationship with others. Our current workforce and place actually, what it does is we become in relationship to a financial economic system and to corporations. Corporations then use us for their own purposes, and it is no longer a relationship. And we wonder why we feel so lost and we feel so um, meaningless. So I guess my point is, coming back to that, is as we can tune into ourselves through the reflection of others that are safe, that are mentors, that allow us to be vulnerable in the moment to express what's alive, what's going on, the quicker I think we all evolve and the more meaningful our life becomes, and the more we get out of systems that no longer serve us and our evolution. That's my rant for today.
Yeah,
Brooke,
Brooke,
hi.
how does compassion play in conflict? Hmm. Do you want to answer that?
How does compassion play in conflict? Well, I think the first is, I guess we need to define compassion, which may be linked to empathy, which may be linked to, oh, I think I can understand where this person is coming from. I think I can put myself in their shoes. I think I can reframe my perspective to understand theirs. The thing is, when we're in conflict, often we don't care what the other person's point of view is. When we're in active conflict or disconnection, we're so confused about our own perceptual reality that we can't understand someone else's. So, compassion really starts with us, with myself. Oh, when there's conflict outside, there's usually conflict inside first. So it becomes about, okay, how can I, and we just talked about this, be with the two parts of myself that are arguing. And first, we have to acknowledge that there are two, and to hear those voices. This is sometimes, the internal family systems, the parts work, the saboteur work. Oh, I've got these two pieces. Now, how do I say hello to both of them? It's like two children that always fight. Oh, play. I love how you said, how does communicate, what do you call that? Compassion play into it. I think part of it is play. If I acknowledge this part of myself and these two start communicating without judgment, there's a sense of ease that starts to happen within myself, which then ripples outward to a sense of compassion to someone else, to having that ease to go, oh, I have space for you, and whatever conflict you have in yourself that's showing up in conflict between us. So compassion for me is like empathy, and it requires stillness and space to be able to observe what's in conflict for compassion to emerge through it, would be my answer to that. I don't know if that makes sense, Brooke.
It says he has more than just two voices.
No, well, yeah. Sometimes there's a whole cacophony, isn't there? There's a whole room. And this is what's beautiful in a group. We actually, in our work, we have women that are so comfortable in being authentic and knowing that they belong, that they're like, Summer, you just, excuse my language, triggered me. And I'm like, great. Are we going to process it? We're like, yeah. Because every trigger, every conflict is a discovery of something else that's calling our attention to some kind of distortion in there. And sometimes, yeah, we've got the whole round table. But as soon as we take the helm and the leadership as our highest self, and we hold the space of compassion, the whole table goes silent. Oh, this is us in alignment. Now my restless, my saboteur, my controller, my fear-based person, whatever, they're all like, oh yeah, we all have a job to do that's in alignment with my soul, with my purpose, with whatever. So just because we have multiple voices doesn't mean it's any harder. As soon as we can contact that place of us that's okay, we can sit with as many parts as we need to until the cacophony, the chaos of the judgmental mind stops. And it's tricky because we've just been brought up in a really judgmental, fix-it mindset. But those voices start to settle down when the nervous system settles down, when our being becomes in alignment with something bigger than who we think we are. So there's another comment
Maria
there.
says, chaos is dysregulation. Yeah. Sometimes we need to self-regulate 100%. And other times, yeah, co-regulate with other human beings. It's essential to our, health in all areas. So how do
Yeah, I was just going to say something quick. They know, twins taken out at birth, they're separated. You see, you put them back together. The one who's sicker heals faster. An adult who's in coma, someone who's sick, you go and sleep with that person starts to regulate to the more healthy vibration. It's a natural thing. And so, COVID, the separation, the houses, the single houses, all of these things that keep us separate really prevent us from regulating to higher and higher levels of well-being and peace. We need each other very, very much.
So now pulling it all back in on the topic of chaos this month and the chaos within. Where do we go from here?
Good question. How do we return to peace consciously? I think that whole 4 stages of development from the uh, unconscious incompetence. Oh, I'm chaos and I'm driven by my saboteurs and my parts, and I don't know where I'm going or coming, and I just do what I'm told to. Oh, I'm conscious of my incompetence. I'm conscious I'm living in chaos. Okay, how do I start learning? We start looking for new opportunities, for new people, for new ideas that start to resonate with our new higher potential. And then we get to go to the next stage, which is unconscious
Actually,
competence. We start
conscious competence.
conscious. What did I say? Unconscious competence? Yeah, okay. So conscious competence where we're working at it. We're practicing. We're doing sessions, we're learning from other people, we're practicing, we're showing up in these new environments. And then once that starts to become more normal and it's easy and we've pretty much created a new paradigm for ourselves. Like you said, Dre, it becomes unconscious competence. It's a new life, a new paradigm, a new way of being that's automatic.
Yeah. And it starts with
Is that how
practice.
you see it?
That's it. And it goes through those 4 stages of learning. Like it's a skill to be practiced, to, find myself in spaces where it allows all those parts for me to be seen without judgment. And because I receive that from others, I can model that for myself behind closed doors. And it just goes to that. Like, how am I speaking to myself? Am I speaking life taking energy or life serving energy? And it's not about like fixing or getting rid of things. And it just the practice of just being with it all. Yeah. Taking
Yeah.
that breath, slowing things down, and just settling in and just connecting with whatever voices that are coming up. Now, there might be a space in time where that doesn't make sense and I got to power through things. And so be it. I consciously choose to. Though to have a practice where I can be with myself, I can journal, I can meditate, I can do breath work, I can be with others where I can share openly and vulnerably. I start building the skill set. I start rewiring my nervous system. I start finding a place where I can co-regulate and self-regulate in this lifetime, in this journey that, yeah, there's there's no such thing as figuring it all out, of this is the answer. And our culture trains me to think that way. That, oh man, I'm going to be my best self, like this idea of like, yeah, I am going to be integrated. You know what? And what I say to that is I believe you won't. I believe you are on your way to be integrated. I'll say for myself is I'm on my path to be integrated and whole. But for me to say I am whole, I am integrated, I don't know. I don't think so. Because I don't know what's alive in me fully until I drop in. I still don't know what layers of myself are unconscious. Sometimes I can't see my blind spots, and I can only be shown when I'm in a relationship with others that can see that. So for me to claim that I'm integrated, for me, is not true. I am yearning and desiring to be integrated. And that's the path that I'm on, to be whole.
Hmm. Yeah. And I believe we can't be whole until we can have honest relationships with others that mirror back to us who we are. I wanted to say to Claire, too, July 26th and 27th, if you want to come hang with us women, send me a DM. There's lots of opportunities for intuitive self healing where we get to practice being with and then seeing others that can mirror back to us in just beautiful, reflective ways. Looks like there's one more comment.
Yeah, for Maria. Yeah, great to be
Mm.
with you today too. Yeah, feeling super dysregulated until she saw us on live. So thank you for being part of your co-regulation. Yeah, pleasure.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes you don't even need to be with people in a room. Sometimes it's the voice, the cadence, the memory of what it's like to be with those people that allow the nervous system to come back online. I know when I get together with my ladies, if I'm in any state, even though I'm facilitating, they co-regulate me. It's a very mutually reciprocal experience. This is us being human, not trying to be superhuman or to achieve something or to be the expert. It's like, no, how do we drop in together to co-regulate like they do on um, Avatar with the tree of life being the center of it? How do we all breathe together to emulate life itself? And how can we do that when we don't have mirrors of what that looks like for us in our own evolution as a species? We need each other so, I don't want to say desperately, but for me, life has no meaning unless I have other people that are sharing it intimately with me. It really doesn't.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, you got it. Yeah, thank you for being with us as well. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a fire. Some people can travel so we can actually be together.
Yeah. And there's a quote I want to share because I came across this quote and
Mhm.
it was very impactful for me, and I just want to share it out. So this is by Rainer Maria Rilke. Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books that are now written in a very foreign tongue. Do not seek the answers, which cannot be given to you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. Yeah. So
Yeah.
everything's going to be all right.
Sometimes we're, yeah. And from the book Harebrained Tortoise Mind, sometimes we're so busy trying to fix and find a solution that we don't realize the question we're asking is the wrong question. I think that's a summary of maybe what your quote is if we sit long enough, we realize there's a different question that needs to be asked, that the universe is providing us the answer for, that's much easier and simpler and less effort than the striving from the mind that can just drop into our bodies and reveal that nothing is out of alignment. There's a higher order to everything in our lives. And it comes down to trust and, I guess, faith.
Yeah, and some of you might be thinking
And
that we're bashing the mind and the brain and no, it's more about recognizing that the culture is swung onto brain worship, focusing so much that it's out of balance in a way. And so what we're inviting into is connecting the mind with the soul language, with the heart, with everything that's here, besides just being focused on here is what we're trying to say. So um, yeah,
yeah, well, I think the mind's a great tool. When I want to go to get groceries at a grocery, I need to make a list, and the mind is the only thing that's going to be able to do it. But I think we're doing without knowing why we're doing something. And so the point is, let's get a little more into the knowing before we decide what we want to do. Knowing that if we're still enough, we will find the answers because they do exist in here, not out there. We'll be constantly chasing ourselves like a dog chasing its tail. So,
that wraps it up. for today, everybody. Catch us live again next Friday at 12 p.m. Get resourced. We have a Facebook group called Get Resource for Conscious Co-Creating Relationships. We invite you into it. We share insights, wisdoms, offerings, free workshops. That's how I stay on top of what we're evolving into and around how we relate to ourselves, source, and others. And we also have our YouTube channel, Get Resource, like and subscribe, and you can comment there as well. Appreciate everybody for commenting, for showing up with us. Look forward to being with you again soon. Bye for now.